show is TV-14, so is the video. It's gonna get weird. I'm just saying. Like probably most of you, I forgot the Agatha show was happening. A few days ago, I saw some headlines and suddenly I remembered, like, oh yeah, they are making a follow-up story to a side character slash villain from WandaVision. They really are out of ideas and have completely lost the plot on who they're trying to make shows for, haven't they? So the 2-episode premiere happened this week, and for perhaps the 1000th time in the last year or so, I wondered, who's this supposed to be for? What is the MCU doing? Since the show is crass, I will be as well. This show seems like a solid, mirror-polished tungsten or perhaps Swarovski crystal butt plug. Structurally, it's quite sound. And for those who are interested in this sort of product, I get the feeling that it is delivering exactly what that audience would want. Question is, how big is that audience, really? And furthermore, why is this in the Lego aisle? I mean, technically it is a toy, but this show is odd because it has some bright spots that I do want to point out. And when you look at the framework of the kind of story that it's telling, it is doing it correctly. But I don't think anybody's going to watch this, and also I think people that do aren't going to enjoy it. I know that sounds vague and confusing, like how can it be doing something correctly and still not be good? Let me explain. Using our initial object as an example, it shares qualities with other products that you might want. It's going in you like an earring, so you want non-porous surfaces and high-quality materials. This is the kind of product that needs to be sturdy. You don't want chipping, breaking, marring of the surface. Like anything else that you're going to purchase, you want quality. And tungsten, fine crystal, these are good materials. Likewise, this show is about a character who has lost everything and needs to get a ragtag group together to accomplish a goal. But the group doesn't trust each other, but they all have certain skills that will be needed. The risks are high and the baddies are chasing them, but if they can pull off this one job, everybody will get what they want. But perhaps one of the group will betray them. Mystery and high stakes abound. Was I talking about Ocean's 11 just now? Magnificent 7? Dirty Dozen? Big Hero 6? When I'm talking about the framework for the kind of story that we're telling, that's what I'm talking about. The generic formula for this kind of tale. Band of misfits accomplishes an impossible goal. But it is possible for you to achieve the goal of hitting the like button. It was later in the video. You thought I forgot, didn't you? I'm not even going to walk away. I'm unpredictable. You know what is predictably delicious? Barry's tea. Irish breakfast with milk. Or do they just say breakfast? Because it feels redundant. The materials to construct that kind of story are put together very well in Agatha All Along. So far, the structure of the show is sound. They did not film 6 hours of show and then arbitrarily cut it into 9 episodes, and I want to praise that specifically. TV is not doing that lately on streaming services. The 2 episodes have their own subplot that is resolved inside that episode while still moving the overall plot forward. This is great. Episode 1 gets Agatha out of her dream world, introduces her former lover, Aubrey Plaza, who is playing Aubrey Plaza, just like she does in every show she's ever been in. The beginning of the first episode is the best part of the show so far because it was a crime drama spoof done masterfully. Episode 2 has her getting the band together, random characters who all need something, so they can't refuse her offer, but they don't trust each other, and they're all hiding their own secrets. But their greed for the goal overcomes their mistrust, and the danger of the dangerous, ominous somethings drives them all to jump into the plot together. Honestly, if we're just talking about the show as a formula, that formula is being well executed so far. We know everything we need to know. We are introducing a little bit of detail into the magic system, which I like. There are apparently different types of witches in the MCU now. They do different things. Like Agatha is definitely black, but she has no swamps currently. This one right here, probably blue. This one's definitely red. They hint that Aubrey is going to be green, so she'll be bringing huge creatures who can trample, and will be a great addition to the Coven since she can make her permanents hexproof. I'm cool with this if they actually put in some rules and details, because I'm a fan of a hard magic system. And thus far, the magic in Marvel has just been a plot device. Like Wanda has the power of red. It does things. This framework is put together soundly. We have a good structure. This hunk of metal is polished fairly well. Catherine Hahn is the gem, glued to the end, doing a great job. But this isn't. a solid bar stool for your kitchen. This isn't a sturdy breaker bar that will resist bending when those caliper bolts are being really stupid. This isn't a high-quality watch, like the one that I bought when I was young, but I don't wear anymore. It's not a Volvo car frame that will crash test well. I said crystal earlier, right? It's not like a high-quality fruit bowl that you're going to display for your guests or something. This particular product is designed to be shoved up your butt. And no matter how well the information is delivered, no matter how well Catherine Hahn acts, no matter how touchingly this squad of rapscallions becomes a found family after discovering the power of cooperation, this show is still designed to be shoved up your butt, and it won't matter what raw materials it has or how they were put together. The details inside that framework are simply not going to appeal to, I think, a pretty large portion of the audience. They're just not about that life. After 2 episodes, I was able to admire the craftsmanship, but I have zero desire to use this show in the way that it's intended.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
No, of course not.
I mean, it's fine if that's who you are.
Absolutely.
This show has a very niche audience, and that is middle-aged white women who live in California, spend a lot of time surfing book talk for their next spicy read, and wish that they could be cool and witchy, so they are way too into Halloween. These women go to Mexican restaurants to order a chicken quesadilla every time and say out loud, "I'm gonna be a little naughty," as they order a margarita. Basic bitches is what I'm saying. Older basic bitches. These are the women. This is why we call this Han Solo season. Once again, we have a tiny audience that a massive brand is trying to serve, but not outside the main brand. And that's going to be nearly impossible to mix together. If they genuinely are trying to do the Young Avengers, which they've already introduced 3 of the girls, and they want to flip the script so that it's 5 girls and 1 boy this time, definitely gonna be Wiccan as the guy. He is the perfect subversion of the original Avengers because he is the most feminine character in this show. So that means the audience is going to have to know where he came from, but they'll need to muddle through a lesbian witch fantasy, which they won't do, and the Young Avengers movie will flop for the same reason the Marvels did, because you had to do homework for side characters on Disney Plus there. Feige was extremely smart to say that Disney Plus MCU shows would not intertwine with the overall MCU. Sadly, that was a bold-faced lie, and Disney Plus's shrinking subscriber count will continue to drag down the movies that rely on show homework for backstory. But beyond that, the show itself is not fun. The structure's there, right? The formula is there, but the variables that they shoved in are uncomfortable. Getting the gang back together is cool on paper, but the gang in question is awful, and you hate all of them. If you didn't give a crap about Agatha after WandaVision, this show is not going to make you like her more. Most motley crew get the band together for a dangerous mission type stories feature a band that is trying to do something semi-noble. Or at least the bad guy is so bad that our roguishly charming heroes look better by comparison. The team on Leverage, for example, which you should 1000% be watching, are getting back at the rich and powerful who take advantage of other people. Even when our heroes or anti-heroes are doing bad things, it's usually in service of a greater good. That's what sells the story. Agatha is not good. She is power hungry and infamous for killing other witches and maybe sacrificing children. Witches in general hate one another in this show, which makes all of them seem terrible. This is the problem with moral relativism, by the way. It's that the story becomes meaningless because the characters are all kinda horrible. Agatha simply wants power. Why should I care that she no longer has any, or care if she succeeds in getting it back? Beyond her, Aubrey is Aubrey, so that's a known quantity for you. Wiccan is the most annoying gay stereotype. The other witches are generic placeholders, and then there is Kitty Foreman, who is doing comic relief. There are no characters to connect with, and the motivations are all quite flat. Why does everybody write women to be horrible now, by the way? Apparently the new strong modern woman is just a real bitch, according to every piece of media in the last decade. But what I imagine will really turn most viewers off is the constant edginess. Maybe it's because I'm getting older, and like Cephalus, I have escaped many Mad and Furious Masters, but I really find this boring. Now, we are really trying to push the boundaries with the almost frontal nudity that was just out of focus, the actual naked ass, the eat my ass comment that some people are excited to see in Marvel for the first time. Don't know why we're proud of that. The Agatha and Aubrey are goth girlfriend lesbians, the Aubrey licking her blood, the Kegel egg joke. And I just have to ask, for what? What, to say that we can? Like, if you went to see Deadpool and Wolverine, you knew what you were getting, right? So the jokes about pegging and cocaine should not have surprised you. It was rated R, and also it's not part of the main MCU continuity, if such a thing can even be said to exist. But with this show, and now The Acolyte, Disney is really leaning into overt sexuality. Let me just say that again, more slowly, because I'm not even sure that I read my own lines correctly. The Disney company is now leaning heavily into overt sexuality. Does that, like, am I the only one that's seeing that? The Acolyte was super horny with lots of euphemisms and penis imagery. Agatha is now the gayest show ever.
It will be a gay explosion by the end.
I'm going to pass on any more of this one, as I imagine most of you will. Oddly, I think that I would rank the show higher than most critic scores, which is strange. It seems like the kind of thing that they would go for, but I guess they're just getting bored too. I can see like the writing is okay. It's just unironically, it is actually not for me. That's real this time. Anyway, what are your thoughts on the new direction at Disney? And do you think that this show is gonna get viewers? Who do you think this one was made for? I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you next time.